Hi guys, today we're back to doing something stained glass themed. So it's going to be more of a diamond Harlequin style. So I've taken Rome apple and I'm just marking out where I want my grid lines to be. So I'm just trying to make sure these are even. You want to make sure you use the longest fine detail brush you can find, well, ultra fine detail brush, because you want these lines to be quite neat and really fine as well, because you don't want anything to look bulky. So I've just started with my first cross point and then I'm just using them as a reference for the rest of the nail, just to make sure it's as central as possible. You can kind of neaten this up a little bit later because we're going to be adding some chrome that's going to kind of look like the leading that you get on stained glass. So don't worry too much if it's not too perfect, because I definitely went in with the chrome to neaten it up. So once I've filled that in, I have cured this just so I don't smudge it, and if anything goes wrong I can wipe it off, and I'm just using that same Rome apple colour and I'm just filling in those grids. So I'm going to do them like alternating, so this middle row of diamonds I'm just going to go down and fill those in. And for the rows next to it, I'm going to keep them clear and do them in a different colour. And then the row after that, I'm going to go back to the Rome apple. Just make sure these are filled in like evenly. You don't want them to look patchy or streaky, but you do want them to be see-through. So Rome apple is one of our jelly colours. So we're going with jelly so you can still see through them a bit like you would with stained glass. And because you've done those grid lines before, it makes it so easy filling this in because you've got a barrier and it's not going to really go beyond that unless you really kind of go over that line, but it will kind of hold it in place for you, which makes it so much easier. Like I say, I'm just missing a row out and then doing the rows right at the edge of the nail with that same colour. These would be such a cool set to wear if you were doing like a fancy dress as a clown or something like that. Oh my god, they would look so cute. Once that's cured, I'm taking Valencia Orange, which is one of our jelly colours as well, and I'm just filling in the other sections with this one. And again, just make sure it's nice and even. If you get too much in a section, you can just pull it back off like I'm doing here and just add it to another one. Once that's cured, I'm just going in with a second coat of all of this. So I'm going back over the Valencia Orange first because I already had that product out, and then I'll go back over the Rome apple as well. I just wanted a little bit more saturation, a little bit more pigment on it before I went on to the next section. So once that's cured, I'm taking some gel top coat nail sealer, and if you've seen my videos before where I've done any chrome, this is kind of my product of choice for my chrome prep. So I'm going to pop this all over the nail and I'm going to let it sit in the crevices as well so it evens it out a little bit. Cure that, and then I'm just going to buff down the whole entire nail, and basically anywhere that's been buffed the chrome won't stick to. So we basically don't want the chrome anywhere apart from on this serious black. So again, I'm just taking a really long ultrafine detail brush and I'm loading that up with the serious black and just adding those lines back on like we did right at the beginning. So like I said back then, if there's anywhere where it doesn't look quite even, as you can see, one of the bottom diamonds on here, it's not looking particularly straight or even, so I'm just going to try and even it up while I'm doing this. So that's the joy of it. If it's not perfect at the beginning, this is the time to kind of fix it. I'm just making sure that these lines are really clear and even as well, because the chrome's going on top and I want them to look really slick. I'm going to pop that into cure, and then I'm taking this chrome pen, and it's this gorgeous kind of goldy colour. And it's not too bright gold though, it's kind of more of a subdued gold. I think it's really pretty for one of our gold colours, it's one of my favourites. And I'm just going over that Serious Black, and as you can see, it's not sticking anywhere else because we've done all of our prep. So I'm just going to make sure this is really well rubbed into that Serious Black before going in with a bit of sponge, and I'm just going to remove all of that. And if you use sponge, it picks up all of the excess. It doesn't just kind of like blow it around the room like it might if you use a brush. So it will actually collect it all up for you. And there we go. How beautiful does that look? I just needed to show it off before we go on to the next section. So next I'm going to take some nail tip gel adhesive, and I'm going to be making some like rings to go around. So I'm just rolling them into a sausage and popping that on the nail. So you've just got to be careful because you really don't want to disturb that chrome too much. So if you wanted to, you could always go in and kind of top coat or matte coat just to protect the nail a little bit here. I'm just going to be taking one of our silicone tools just to shape that again as well. If you add some gel residue remover to the silicone tools, it'll stop them from sticking to the nail tip gel adhesive too. So I'm just going to make sure that that's really even and smooth, and then I'm going to go in and do another one. This one's a little bit thinner. I'm just going to vary the thickness of them just to keep it interesting. And I'm just going in with a third one at the bottom here too. Once I'm happy with the shape of that, I'm going to pop it in the lamp to cure, and we're going to be adding chrome to these as well. So I'm going in with Serious Black and going back over these 3D shapes so that we have something for the chrome to stick to. You just want to be really careful with this section here that you're not going to get it on the rest of the nail because it will kind of mess up what you've done below. So just be really mindful when you're doing this bit. I'm going to pop that into cure, and then I'm just taking our chrome pen again. If there's any bits that you can't get to with the chrome pen, you can actually take a brush and dip it into the lid because that's where all of the chrome actually lives. It's kind of on a spring system, so when you put the sponge in, it like dabs onto all of the chrome and then pulls it back out, so it's less messy than like a loose powder. So yeah, you can just put a brush into the lid and it will pick up some of that chrome, and you can get into those little crevices that are almost difficult to get into with the sponge. And I'm just showing you here how to do that. Really, really simple. Just dab it in there and you'll get a little bit of chrome on there. And I'm just dabbing that into those crevices. I'm just going to go back in with that sponge just to remove any of that excess again as well. And that's how it looks before we finish it off. So I'm just going to go over the whole entire thing with some top coat. And this will just seal absolutely everything in. I did really love this with the matte background as well. Not that that's what stained glass looks like, because stained glass is normally shiny, but I just think it really popped with that matte background as well, so that's another option for you. So if you really want that effect, you could literally just go in with ultra matte coat over the jelly sections, and that would do exactly the same thing. And there we go, guys, that's the nail all done. I absolutely love this, it's so funky. If you want any of the products I've used today, they'll be tagged down below and they'll be on our website, and we'll see you next time. Bye.